You saw an opportunity in the market, you did it, you stopped doing it, and then you licked your wounds and then are doing it again. Like, that is so unique. Can you just talk about that whole like decision process? And
most people are just smarter than me, Rob. They just move on when something isn't working. Probably most distilled version of the indie thesis is like focus matters. And right now, the entrepreneurial industrial complex would lead you to believe that focusing on fundraising is your big unlock to your future success. In many respects, the kind of venture-led approach to entrepreneurship was this kind of tail wagging the dog, kind of losing the plot of what this was all about. And indie is kind of that reaction to, and hopefully kind of that response to, a whole series of companies and opportunities and entrepreneurs that may not see themselves as fitting squarely in this kind of, factory farm version of entrepreneurship we've got today.
what was the response from your investors?
Oh, they hated it. Yeah, they hated it. One, everything was already working. And as you know, LPs don't like different. They bought into a story 10 years ago and they wanted to continue to back that story. I think the universal response was like not great. Like I think a lot of people really didn't get it, or they really did get it. They just didn't like it. My naivety was that like, hey, look, I was right about seed investing 10 years ago. You trusted us on that, kind of nailed that, like timing wise, market wise, story wise. I think this is the next hole in the market that is going to be really compelling. And I thought that credibility might carry more weight, and it turns out it didn't at all. And so we lost 75% of our LP base when I kind of made that indie transition.
That must have been pretty hard.
Yes.
Like personally and emotionally, like must have been man.
Probably more than I wanted to admit. It was a huge blow to my ego at that point, which is probably healthy. I probably needed it then, but it didn't make it any easier. One of the big challenges with indie all along was that the public perception of it did not meet the private reality of it. The public perception was like, holy cow, you're everywhere. Talked about in a lot of different areas. Our deal flow was really accelerating. We were getting invited to participate in a lot of stuff and share our story. So that was the public perception. The private reality was like, I couldn't get a second meeting with an LP to save my life. Go back in your mind to that time. Crypto is ripping. People are paying millions of dollars for a JPEG of an ape. Public markets are valuing SaaS businesses at like 30, 40, 50x. And I'm sitting there like an idiot talking about profitability. So I'm like completely out of sync with where the market is. I'm just trying to say like, none of this is going to last forever. There's this game on the field. But I'm telling you, the rules of that game can change really quickly. The best way to insulate yourself from those changes in the rules is to get to some level of independence.
When you observe like indie founders and maybe compare them to other more traditional venture-backed founder, do you find that it's different?
I'd probably get in trouble for saying this, but yes. The traditional entrepreneur in the venture-backed ecosystem these days starts with the investor in mind. Like what investors will be interested in is almost a more important question than what customers would be interested in. An indie founder typically starts with a problem first, and then they try to make the decision about how to kind of bring that to a reality. I would say a lot of people these days go kind of hunting for a venture backable idea, to my mind, are pretty different. We've kind of lost the art of tinkering because tinkering isn't fundable. Almost all of the venture scale indie companies started out looking anything but venture scale. And yet, because they were willing to just keep pulling on the thread, keep focusing on those customers, keep pursuing those like can't not pursue them things within themselves, like that's where some of these really incredible breakouts have happened.